So we know that there are a lot of reasons that different groups are hesitant to take the vaccine. For some, generally right wingers, one of the reasons you hear is it's not FDA approved. Why would I take something that's not FDA approved? And so you know where this is headed. Today, Food and Drug Administration granted full approval to Pfizer-BioNTech's coronavirus vaccine for people 16 and older, making it the first to move beyond emergency use status in the United States, which will have consequences. But before we get into those consequences, let's talk about the theoretical one, Francesca. They said, I don't trust it because it's not FDA approved. And so one would expect that now they'll take it, right?
Yeah. That's exactly what they were waiting for. That is all it's going to take. Please end this nightmare. No, these are the same people that obviously take non-FDA approved supplements that Alex Jones is hawking, different kinds of snake oil that make different parts of you supposedly get bigger. And so I don't like they don't care about FDA supplements. Like all the people, seriously, they're convinced that the entire medical establishment, that all of the canon of Western medicine has been lying to them. But if they support their favorite right-wing YouTubers smoothie blend, then they will be infused with, gorilla juice and whatever, and like withstand the apocalypse. I'm not sure. When all of the libs come at them with their pronouns, they need something to shield them from that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I know, and I understand your point because I take the smoothie now with Brain Juice 2000. But anyway, I don't expect that it's going to change a lot of hard right wingers' minds, but it might make some other groups more willing to take it. As we always acknowledge, there are different groups that are hesitant for different reasons. Some of them are just BS and deserve to be pointed out. So don't come at me with all that. I almost swore right there. Anyway, with that BS, I'll just say that then. Actually, oh, by the way, I saw the initial announcement on Fox News of the approval. Now, they did in the end imply that it had not been rushed, the approval, but the anchor initially said, leading to some criticism that it had been rushed. Well, yeah, like you're talking vaguely. Tucker Carlson's gonna do a monologue tonight about how it was rushed, I guarantee. So look in the mirror there. Anyway, let's talk about more significant consequences. For instance, the decision to authorize the Pfizer vaccine will now set off a cascade of vaccine requirements by hospitals, colleges, corporations, and other organizations. For instance, United Airlines recently announced that its employees will be required to show proof of vaccination within 5 weeks of regulatory approval. Oregon has adopted a similar requirement for all state workers, as have a host of universities in states from Louisiana to Minnesota. The Pentagon has said it would mandate the shots for the country's 1.3 million active duty troops once the Pfizer approval came through. And what do the people think about this? Because this is going to be presented as highly controversial, whether it is or not. According to a USA Today Ipsos poll, 72% of Americans call mask mandates a matter of health and safety, not an infringement on personal liberty, and 61% endorsed requiring vaccinations except for those with a medical or religious exemption. And really liking Trump is not a religious thing, even if it kind of seems like it at times. So in terms of the vaccine mandates potentially coming, what do you think, Francesca?
I mean, I think it's good. Look, we know that they've gotten all of their testing and their clinical trials from a bunch of different countries that have used Pfizer. Obviously, I am curious as to why Pfizer is first. But I still think that we have to divorce, at least for now, are major and legitimate criticisms against big pharma from the necessity to save lives right now. So I think it's good. I don't know if it's actually going to change a lot of minds, but if these institutions had been waiting and holding out, which I didn't know they had been holding out for instituting that policy, that is so helpful to get things and get life and get work a little bit back to normal. We're talking about universities and hospitals and airlines and whatnot. So
yeah,
Bless them if that's what, I mean, look, they were looking out for people. They're saying we can't institute this unless it's FDA approved. And now that it is, good for them.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll help in that way. And there's certainly gonna be people that won't be affected by any of the mandates that we're seeing here, but you have these overlapping spheres of wanting to have access to certain things for students and people traveling and all of that. That is going to affect a lot of people. And so now having a little bit more government action, having the "it hasn't been FDA approved" argument no longer actually work, although they'll just say it was rushed, many of them, that might get through to some more people, combined with the most persuasive thing of all, regrettably, the massively raising numbers of COVID cases and deaths, which we're gonna turn to in just a sec. But you had a question about Pfizer being first. I can't say anything about why they were first, but I can say a little bit about the process. Pfizer said it had presented the FDA with data from 44,000 clinical trial participants in the US, the European Union, Turkey, South Africa, and South America. The company said the data showed the vaccine was 91% effective in preventing infection, a slight drop from the 95% of efficacy rate that the data showed when the FDA decided to authorize the vaccine for emergency use back in December. Pfizer said the decrease reflected the fact that researchers had more time to catch people who became infected. So it doesn't actually represent in this that it is less effective than it used to be. It just never was quite as effective as they thought, but still highly effective. And now to how influential this might be, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation, they said polls show about 3 of every 10 unvaccinated people say they would be more likely to get vaccinated with a shot that had been fully approved. And we will see hopefully over the next month or two how effective that actually is. But in terms of how things are going, which I alluded to as the most persuasive part, you can take a look here at the US trends for cases, where we are back up to basically the beginning of the dark winter. We're in Thanksgiving leading into Christmas case numbers. Hospitalizations are reaching their all-time high, so that's fun. Not quite there, but getting there, despite, again, older people who are more at risk being more vaccinated than the younger population, and deaths still not as bad as they have been, but back up to like March numbers, basically March into April numbers, and continuing to rise. So a lot of reasons to potentially get vaccinated. Hopefully, Francesca, people will finally pull the trigger on that.
Yeah, and a lot of reasons to continue to fight for things like Medicare for all, as private insurance companies are stopping coverage of COVID-related hospitalizations or even visits, and look, they're gonna get a dime or $1 billion where they can, and they will. And so, the fallout, long COVID, the effects of COVID, whether or not we're gonna keep on having to get this vaccine, whether or not it'll still be free. These are all things that we need to be watching for, and we need to be demanding as we go forward, and we realize that having a robust public health system is in the interest of a healthy nation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Which I think would be a good thing to have. I can't speak for everyone. You got your freedoms after all, so why don't we turn to that?
This is it. That's exactly. Sorry. Yeah. Well, let's turn to that. I'm gonna shut up.
No, you're the co-host. If you want to say something, you say it.
No, I'm just saying, like, we've seen people die for their so-called freedoms, and that's what this is. And without the virus, without a pandemic, that was our healthcare system up until this point. It still is, right? That it is my freedom to don't force me to go to a doctor. Don't force me to get Obamacare or whatever it is. It's like I have the freedom to die. Do you? Or do you just not have enough money to treat your symptoms or to go to a doctor regularly? I think it's the latter.
Well, and by the way, let's mention again, as we have before, there are some people who say the reason they haven't gotten vaccinated yet is an inability to get time off. That obviously seems, I don't know what percentage that actually is, but if that's the reason, then that's a thing that the government could help with, and hopefully will.
Hugely, and not only the day that you get the shot, we're talking like, let's get 3 days off to deal with any symptoms should you have any side effects from the vaccine. That's totally right, and thanks for mentioning that for sure.
Check
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.